On this week's episode of An Echo of Glory, we dissect the draw at Goodison and get the lowdown on our new signing from Sweden, Lucas Bergvall. Welcome to An Echo of Glory. I'm Johnny Blaine. Joining me as always, Gary Diamond.
Afternoon.
And Jake Robson.
Good morning, actually.
Yeah.
Come on, Gary.
Honestly.
Come on.
Happy Monday.
Did you have a good morning on Saturday, Jake? Because last week you told us it was your son's birthday and you weren't sure if you're going to watch it, I don't know, listen to it, follow it on live score, flash score. What happened?
I had a great morning because he was being looked after by someone else.
He being?
My little boy.
Yeah.
Game starts.
Yeah.
We score, obviously, half time. I've got to leave at about 60 minutes. So I walk over to the party round the corner. I get there. Probably a bit later, actually. I get there just for about injury time. So I'm like, I've timed this perfectly. So I get in. Phone's on. Obviously, I'm walking with the phone. I don't miss a minute of the game. Get in. Suddenly, the phone cuts out. There's no reception in this dive. I run to the bar. I need the.
Did your son have his birthday in a pub?
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
Oh.
Working men's club. No, there was a bar there. You know, it's party for the kids, party for the adults. I say, I need the Wi-Fi. Please give me the Wi-Fi. Please give me the Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi's on. I can't sit at the back on the phone, so I'm go out into. There's an outside bit. I'm stood out there. No one can see me outside, so I'm there watching, obviously. And then, yeah, the rest is history. I saw the whole game.
Gary, what are you doing?
Taking pictures of him.
Why? Was he giving you permission?
I just thought this is what people do now, isn't it? I mean, if Odegaard can, then...
like that? You want that?
Yeah, I'm just taking...
Random pictures of random people.
Pictures of, him.
Makes all the rage. That's what everyone's doing now. There we
Odd.
go.
Oh, the producer's in
very
doing it.
bizarre.
There we go.
I thought it was very bizarre behaviour from him. But anyway, no, at least his son had a nice party.
Yeah, it was... Somebody said to me afterwards, how was it? And I said, ruined.
Yeah.
Well, as I said to you, we always lose on my son's birthday, so at least we didn't lose.
Snap. Oh, it felt like a loss though, didn't it?
Well, we'll come to that. I don't think it did. But
Okay.
we're going to do the club news as we always do. We'll do pod news first.
Big pod news.
We didn't win.
No, we did.
No, we are all winners. We won. We won by being nominated. All those pods that got nominated, none of them started 7 months ago.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Oh, fair enough. It's the taking part that counts.
I'm thinking
I thought, it's taking part that counts.
that other Spurs one was in the top 3. Won't tell you where they finished. We're coming for you, Danny Kelly. All right, club news. Under 21, this was bizarre. Lost for the first time this season at their level. They've lost a few of those Johnston's, whatever it's called now, EFL trophy games.
It hasn't been called that for years.
What's it called now?
What,
Papa John's.
The auto win. I thought you were thinking of somebody else, John.
John
Johnston's
Smith?
paint trophy.
That's what I said.
It hasn't been called that for... No, it is the Papa John's, isn't it?
I think it's not that anymore.
LDV, auto windscreens, this kind of...
That thing.
Yeah.
They lost in that. They lost for the first time at their level on Saturday, beaten 3-0 at home by Peterborough in the League Cup. They have progressed. I looked at the team and wondered, did they play a reserve team? Pretty strong. Peterborough even played the second half of 10 men, so a bit odd.
They qualified anyway, though.
Yeah. 18s, however.
Put that to bed.
Always looking for the positive spin. That's why we love him. 18s won 6-3 at Southampton on Friday. Hat-trick for Mikey Moore, who I'm going to call what all the kids call a baller.
Did you see the goals?
I did.
You did, because I sent them to you.
Yes. That's exactly how I saw them.
Yeah. Class goals.
Yeah.
He is a baller, isn't he?
Yeah. They are 3 clear of West Ham. Have got 2 games in hand. The 18s host Bournemouth in the FA Youth Cup on Tuesday night. Find out. I should have found out for you. That's the whole point of club news. Find out where it is and go and watch it. And the women, did someone say last minute equaliser on Merseyside this week? Because the women were 1-0 up at Liverpool and drew 1-0 late goal, 91st minute.
It's a real shame because they're neck and neck in the league, Spurs and Liverpool. So to have gone up there and held on and beaten them would have put us, 3 clear of them. And that would have been a really big result. Yeah. And just on the balance of play, from what it looked like, it looked like they might have just about deserved it. Such a shame that Liverpool equalised. And like you say, the women just seem to be copying the men at the minute.
Who's lost to City in the FA Cup?
Yeah.
I lost to City that weekend. They got them in the FA Cup.
Yeah. The women, like anything you can do.
Or the League Cup, sorry. They got them in the League Cup. Yeah, anything you can do, we can do equally as badly at the moment.
Yeah.
All right.
Real shame.
Okay, but a draw at Liverpool is not the worst result, and they continue to show signs of improvement. Arsenal women lost, which was nice. Lost 2-1 to West Ham.
Did they?
Mm.
Who we beat the other day in a really enthralling game, actually. West Ham played like West Ham men's played, like literally everything went long, direct. Very physical team. I'm surprised Arsenal lost to them, but
Great.
yeah, good news.
Yep. So the window's closed. No more deals for this season, but we did sign Lucas Bergvall. This guy. No, not that guy. That guy. Isn't he handsome?
Strapping lad, isn't
Are
he?
we building a good team or a boy band?
Well, yeah. I mean, he's only 18. Look at him.
If you're in the car listening to this on Spotify, the picture is of a very handsome blonde midfielder that we signed.
Don't look it up now.
Pull over.
Pull over. There you go.
There are areas for you to pull over for this sort of thing.
Look at the forearms on him.
Oh, Jay.
He's only 18 though. Come
He's only
on.
18. Big lad.
He is. He's huge. Big good. I hope he's got a good touch for a big lad.
Well, if you've seen the
No,
YouTube,
I'm sure he does. I'm sure he does.
By the way, I was thinking about these YouTube videos. What was the first one that you remember watching? For me, it was Rebrov. When we signed Rebrov, I think we were still at university.
YouTube, are you talking about?
What did I say?
YouTube. I'm just making sure that we're talking about
YouTube.
Right, okay.
Yeah. The YouTube videos.
Family show.
The first one I remember was Rebrov.
Did YouTube even exist then?
If it wasn't YouTube,
Oh, the equivalent. Sorry, I thought you meant specifically
there was
YouTube.
something
and then
going round of Rebrov scoring some goals in Ukraine.
What would it have been on? What platform would you have seen this on?
I couldn't tell you.
Back in those days. Yeah, but what was it? Like someone sent around an email or something?
We had. You're so young.
No, YouTube did not exist. We're talking
2001.
Can't have existed. Not for me, Clive.
That was the first one I remember. I feel like if I ask this question, I'm not going to get an answer.
MSN Messenger.
I can't tell you.
Yeah.
MySpace.
MSN Messenger, age, sex, location.
There you go.
One for the kids.
One for the kids. Yeah, not one for the kids.
Okay, so we've signed this lad, Lucas Bergvall, from Djurgården. I've got one for you before we speak to someone who knows a lot more about Bergvall than we do.
Well, that's not saying much.
No. Can you tell me another Spurs Djurgården link?
It's not Edmund because that was Helsingborg.
Well remembered.
Well, we spoke to him, so it's not Edmund.
I did have a really nice picture of it, but
Don't know.
unfortunately
I feel
our
like-
producer hasn't put it up.
I feel like it's a coach or something. I've got that in my head.
No, Teddy Sheringham had a spell at Djurgården.
No way.
When he was at Millwall, went to Djurgården on loan.
Really?
And it's a really nice picture, but I ain't got it.
So we've got a long and illustrious history with Djurgården.
Well, he wasn't a Spurs player at the time, but
Yeah,
yes.
but
I'm
he's
gonna say
just he's always been a Spurs.
Right, should we talk to someone who knows a bit more about him than we do?
We'd better.
Teddy Sheringham.
Let's do that right now. Delighted to be joined on the show by Frida Fagerlund, Swedish football expert, football journalist. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So, a bit of a surprise end to the transfer window for Tottenham. All of a sudden, late Thursday, early Friday morning, we linked with Lucas Bergvall, and then Friday morning we sign him. You're going to correct me on the pronunciation very soon. But what can we expect from someone that, I have to be honest, I've not heard of until last week?
No, I mean, he's one of the biggest talents that Sweden has seen for a while. And, getting a move to a big club like Spurs and for fairly big money obviously puts a lot of pressure on him. He was going to Barcelona, or so it seemed. I think the fact that Xavi announced that he's going to leave Barcelona actually threw him off a bit. And maybe he was thinking that I need something more stable. I need to get to a club where I know who the coach is going to be. And also, I think the step to go from or to move from Sweden to England, it's probably a bit easier for a Swede compared to going to Spain when maybe you don't really know Spanish that well and so on. So, yeah, I think this could potentially be a really good step for him.
You mentioned one of the biggest talents to come out of Sweden in a long time. I mean, Sweden's producing some incredible players at the minute. Isak, Kulusevski, and so on. So when you say he's one of the biggest talents to come out of Sweden, just contextualise that for us a little bit further.
Yeah, I was thinking about that because if you think back to when Zlatan Ibrahimovic went to Ajax at the age of 19, was he? Maybe a bit older. That was a big thing. But I would say that this transfer is even bigger, or this move is even bigger, because Spurs is a bigger club. But I guess the world of football has changed a bit. So the bigger club goes for younger talents or potential that they could potentially then, the hope is obviously that Lucas Bergvall is either going to play a lot for Tottenham, or they could potentially just sell him to a different club for big money. So it's changed. So in that context, I would say that this move is probably the biggest one, and it's comparable to when Alex Isak went to Dortmund. But as everyone knows, it took a while for Isak to get going. It took a few other clubs for him to get going for real. But yeah, Lucas Bergvall is definitely the guy everyone is talking about in Sweden at the moment.
And what type of player is he? What can we expect to see from him?
I would say he's got the whole package in terms of him being a midfielder. He prefers to play as a number 8, where he can be truly involved in the game and set the pace and so on. But with that being said, he can also play as a 6 or a more attacking number 10. So he's versatile in that way. And in terms of his qualities, he's a technical player. He's good in tight spaces. He's a great passer, very intelligent, very mature. I could go on and on, really, but
sounds
to
good.
make
Keep
a
going.
comparison,
Yeah.
he has compared himself to Frenkie de Jong. So
Okay.
that might give you an idea of
Yeah.
what type of player he is, or what type of player he wants to be.
I've noticed
So, yeah.
he's a big lad. He's 6'1". I mean, it's just turned 18. He looks like he's got the physical capability. I mean, he's playing in the Swedish top flight at the minute and holding his own. That's a physical league. I mean, talk to us. Do you think he'll be able to manage that step up in physicality straight away? Because it looks to me as though he's got every physical attribute.
Yeah, and I think that was one of the biggest reasons why he went to Djurgården rather than moving abroad straight away. I think he wants to make sure that he developed his physical side. And I think he should be able to adapt to playing at a higher level as well. I remember when, for example, Dejan Kulusevski, I know that he played at a much higher level compared to Bergvall before he came to Spurs, but Kulusevski was very worried about the physical side of Premier League, and he was like, "Oh, how am I going to compete against these big players?" But he turned out to be fine, and I think the same could go for Bergvall. I think he's intelligent enough to be able to develop that side of him. So hopefully that won't be an issue.
And how's Kulusevski viewed over there? He's done very well for Spurs. He divides a little bit of opinion, but it's a Swedish national team that's struggling at the minute. Is he one of the major stars?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think that most people want, they want to see Kulusevski as the captain even. He's the one who is constantly showing that he cares. Yeah, it's been a tough year. Or 2023 was a very tough year for Sweden as a whole. And it looks so dark, within Swedish football. And there's a lot of issues going on. They're trying to appoint a new head coach at the moment. It's not going too well, but Kulusevski is definitely one of those guys who just makes you feel a bit hope for Sweden as a whole. And yeah, he constantly cares. He cares so much about Spurs. He cares so much about Sweden, and it shows. He's very genuine in that way.
On Kulusevski, one area that is divided opinion is what is his best position. So what do you guys in Sweden think? Because he's played as a 10, he's played on the right wing. I'm undecided as to where we would derive the best value from him. He does great in both areas for me, but I think as well he has more to give. So what's your view, and what's the view in Sweden of where you'd get the best from him?
Yeah, I think it's quite hard to compare to the way he plays for Sweden, because obviously 4-4-2 has been the standard for a long time, the standard formation. So he's played at right, as a right midfielder, but also as a centre forward. And I would probably say that I think his best position is where Maddison is playing. And I think he showed that in many games as well, that he's good in tight spaces, and he is very creative. It's actually more creative than you think. So yeah, I would probably say as a number 10. And I think that was the case when he was at Parma, that he usually played as a number 10, and he did it really well. So yeah, that is probably the position I would want to see him play in. But obviously when Maddison is back, it's hard for him to compete against him.
Just going back to, I'm going to say it again though, Bergvall, as it Bergvall, you said. I'll do the London pronunciation. You mentioned that Sweden, they didn't qualify for the last World Cup, didn't qualify for the Euros. You look near neighbours Norway, they've got Oscar Bob and Haaland coming through. There's a few good players coming through, Sweden, Bergvall being one of them. Is this the start of a new, you said there's problems there, but are there players coming through? Because everyone loves to see Sweden at a major tournament.
Yeah, well, the biggest issue is that we don't have any centre-backs. We have lots of, and the same goes for Norway, actually. They have the same issue as us. They have lots of fun attacking players, but no real defenders or not good enough defenders. So yeah, that's been the real struggle for Sweden. We have Victor Lindelöf, obviously, at Man United, but he hasn't had a partner really. So I think as long as Sweden can show that they can develop defenders as well as they can develop attacking players, then maybe we've sorted one of our biggest issues. But yeah, it's not looking too great at the moment. It's actually quite depressing, but hopefully they can get back on the feet as long as they get a good head coach in.
Well, let's lighten the mood. I can't let you go without talking about this bookcase behind you. That is phenomenal. Talk us through this. Colour-coded?
Yeah, it's just a bunch of football books. It's just easier. When it's colour-coded, it's just easier to find what you're looking for. I was looking for a Liverpool book the other day, and then you could go straight to the red part.
Any Tottenham in there at all?
All the white ones.
All the white ones at Tottenham.
There's a lot of Tottenham books, yeah,
Good.
for sure. I can't see it at the moment, sadly, but there's definitely a few of them in there.
Brilliant. Listen, Frida, I won't keep you any longer. Thank you so much for joining us. Great to get your thoughts on our new player. I'm going to call him that. Still can't know the pronunciation. And to talk a little bit about the Swedish Tottenham connections. Thanks so much for coming on.
Cheers, Frida. Thank you very much.
What about that bookcase?
Goodness me. I didn't even think it was real at
To
first.
start with, I didn't. Maybe.
Again, if you're listening, get on YouTube.
Or Spotify, and you can watch us. Frida had an incredible bookcase full of football books in colour-coded.
It looked like a rainbow.
Yeah.
But goodness me, old Lucas Bergvall, is that what he was?
Bergvall?
I'm signed up. Not only does he look fantastic, he sounds like he's going to be fantastic.
He can play 6, 8, 10.
Everywhere. Make my breakfast, make me coffee. I have to say, I hold my hands up. Did any of you know anything about this guy? I did. I mean, and I now feel inferior because we should have known about this guy. It sounds like
No, he's playing in the Swedish Premier League. There's no reason that anybody should have known about him outside of, the people that should have known about him.
Yeah, that's fair. But in which case, in terms of what Frida was suggesting, in terms of where he is perhaps expected to go, we could have really stumbled across something quite special.
It is
here.
dangerous to go on, look at these clips, but.
Yeah, but we're hearing it from somebody who is.
Yeah, but he looks. You can see it. He looks like an absolute footballer. Like he's got great touch. He's strong. He's physical. You said he's what, 6 foot something?
6'1". Yeah.
Thoroughbred.
Yeah, he looks. Yeah.
No, he does.
I think it's interesting because you can see the reasons why they would have signed. Number one, we've spoken about this in the past. These are the types of players that we should be signing. It is such low risk that it's just worth it's worth doing. Now, but beyond the fact that it's low risk, that's not the criteria of a signing. It's about what he adds to the team, and I think this is somebody that will come straight into the squad next season. I think when you look at the midfield positions, what you've got, and I'm not saying that each of the players are going to be siloed into one of these roles, because Bergvall could play as a 6, Bentancur could play as an 8, but I think primarily what you're going to find is 2 players for each position, and what you've got is Bissouma and Bentancur in the 6. I think you'll have Sarr as your starting 8, but imagine that you've got Bergvall coming on for the last 20 minutes and gaining experience, and I think he can do that from the looks of him, from what I've seen on YouTube and what Frida's saying.
You think we'll keep him? You think he'll go back to the Garden and play 20-odd games before the summer and stay?
Yeah, I think 100%. I'd be surprised if he's not in the squad next season. He's played 40. By the end of the season, he'd have played 50 top-flight games in the Swedish Premier League. That's arguably better experience than you'd get in the Championship or Division 1. Against guys that are big cloggers, so I'm not worried about the physicality piece. It's just a question of the pace of the game that he'll need to pick up in the Premier League. But he's a very, very technical player. I 100% can see him as the sort of backup number 8 to Sarr, and then you're looking at sort of the number 10 and Kulusevski, and this is
Maddison.
Sorry, Maddison. And this is what I was sort of thinking about, because there had been a lot of talk about the likes of Conor Gallagher, who could fulfill the 8 or the 10 role. Now, I think somebody like Bergvall could do primarily the 8 next season. Whether he goes on to be a 6, we'll see. But I've got a name for you, because I've been thinking about this, and I just want to throw this into the mix. So the reason behind Conor Gallagher was homegrown, English, obviously young, can play as the 8 or the 10. Thinking about the homegrown piece, but also the low risk, I've got a guy that I think is performing higher than Conor Gallagher in lesser team and is more attainable, and that's Ross Barkley, who I really like.
I'm going
to
pick a name up off the floor. I was with Owen Hargreaves last week, and he said to me...
Why is he on the floor?
I name dropped.
Oh. You haven't pushed him over. He's not legless.
He said, "Would you take Ross Barkley?"
100%.
Yeah,
and I thought,
I think he would fit.
About that.
I think he'd fit the Ange system so well. We haven't actually spoken about this because I came in.
It's really interesting.
We prepped this show really well,
No. But I think But here's the thing, right? Why would we be signing Gallagher? Because he can cover the 8 or the 10, right? You look at Ross Barkley. He's somebody that Conor Gallagher, one of the criticisms of the potential signing was he's not going to start for us, and I agree, he's not going to start for us. But you get somebody like Ross Barkley, who turned 30 just last month. He's got another 3 or 4 years at the top level. He's a big physical lad. He can play 8, he can play 10. He's not going to agitate for a starting position.
My answer was no, and I went and I said because I like Ross Barkley. I thought he was excellent for Luton the other day and has been this season. So it shows he's still got something. He wasted his career.
Yeah, he should have reached a much higher level than he has.
Went to Nice, whatever. I said, no, we've got Bentancur, Basuma, Sarr, Maddison.
But you think about where he would fit into the squad, right? And then suddenly you've got if he was starting 10 instead of Maddison on any given week, I'd be okay with that. If he's starting 8 any given week, I'd be okay with that. He's not going to agitate for a first team spot.
Signing a 30-year-old. 30-and-a-half-year-old.
Yeah, listen, if Luton go down and you sign Ross Barkley for 10 million, no, okay, fine. But if they did, or whatever, you sign him for 10, 15 million, and you've effectively kept your powder dry for the other areas like a top-class winger or striker, and you've filled that midfield area with a really good player. I think he's a fabulous player.
Why do we need another... I agree with you. Why do we need to spend loads of money on a player that plays in a position that we're already pretty well covered for in Conor Gallagher?
That's the point.
Get someone in who's a bit cheaper. Yes, he's a bit older, so you might not get as many years out of him, but the whole point is you've got your Sars, even Basuma.
You're not buying anybody to start ahead of Madison. You're not going to buy anybody. Yeah.
I want to put this to our lovely listeners and viewers.
Yeah.
Put in the YouTube comments, which do get a bit feisty at full time.
Tell us what you think.
What do you think about Ross Barkley? I think that's a really good option that I'd not really thought of.
I think he looks like a tremendous signing for the squad. Please be clear, not to start, but if you had Ross Barkley on the bench or starting in any given game that needed, you'd be all right with that.
And important with the homegrown requirement.
Important with homegrown requirement, and I think he'd fit the Ange system very, very well.
Yeah, and what the other thing that Ange would and the reason for that, one of the reasons for that is he's very technically good. He's brilliant. Forward passing, he can stick his leg in.
Clearly,
for a
will
tackle.
take on instruction as well.
Take on instruction. He can beat players.
Imagine that you had him to throw on against Everton.
Fantastic.
He's 6'2". He's an absolute unit, but he's a wonderfully technical footballer. Imagine that you've got him to stick on there, and then actually, instead, and we'll come on to Everton, but instead of having that third centre back, which I don't like, you've got him as that outlet to hold it up to relieve that pressure. I just think he'd be a really, really strong signing for the squad.
I've got a segue, Jake.
Yeah.
Do you know who
Ross Barkley? Step on it.
No, well, you might. Do you know who Ross Barkley made 150 Premier League appearances for, scoring 21 goals? Everton. Let's talk about that.
Do we have to?
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
We don't have to, but we're
going. No, we do.
Yeah, we do. Team lineup was Vicario.
Did you think of me when you saw the lineup? I thought of this. I thought of you guys.
Did you? That's nice.
Yeah.
I was disappointed that I got the lineup wrong, so I sat here and adamantly told you what the lineup would be.
I thought of you when I saw Kulusevski not in the side.
Let's do it quickly. Vicario, Porro, Romero, Van der Ven, who was fantastic again, Udogie, Højbjerg and Bentancur, Johnson, Maddison, Werner, Richarlison.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised, but not surprised, because I've said this before, I do think that I think we've got to the point now, maybe where Ange sees Kulusevski like I do personally. I mean, I am basically Ange, so I think maybe he sees him as his best position as as a 10, and that's exactly what Frida said a little earlier.
Well, then how can he play when Madison's here?
Well, he sits on the bench as he did on Saturday, and because Johnson's number one position is as a right winger. That's where if you're going to sign him, you have to play him there. And I don't know. I just think we've got to the point. I know. Kulusevski came on,
gave the goal away.
He came on for Johnson. Also, Kulusevski, I think maybe has he put in enough performances recently to guarantee his place in the team?
Look, Gary's just sitting here quietly because he wants to talk about one person and one person only.
No.
BEH.
No.
I just to answer your question, Jake. Sorry, prodding Gary.
Did I ask you one?
Warming him up. Did you say to me, "Has Kulusevski done enough to keep?" his place?
Yeah. It was a rhetorical. I know the answer to it.
We're in a position. Does that mean I'm not? If it's a rhetorical question, am I not supposed to answer it?
Well, you can do.
Look, the bench finally was strong, so it's good to have a player like Kulusevski on the bench.
There you go.
Gary.
I know you want me to talk
stronger
about...
the bench, not strong.
Stronger, yeah, absolutely.
You want or expect me to talk about Højbjerg, and I will, but I also want to talk about set pieces, and we'll come on to that. But I was disappointed with the lineup.
All right, so we go 1-0 up with Charlton. Brilliant finish.
Yeah.
Brilliant finish. The man I have said he's got to play within the width of the post. We did a really nice graphic at work, actually, where he scored all his goals from just within a small radius of the 6-yard box. Obviously, he then smacked one in from 25 yards. Great goal. Playing really well, no problem.
I don't know if you saw, because I only saw it when I watched it again on Match of the Day. It was actually held his run, and that's what created the defenders went to the sort of goal line. Yeah. He's held his run. I mean, he's a proper striker.
And John McKenzie, friend of the show, we had him on, did a brilliant piece on players, basically clinical finishing almost. Richarlison has the fewest touches to score a goal. One touch, bang. And we know that he's not one of the greatest thinkers as a centre forward. Someone like Kane would think about everything. He's just instinct. So,
and this is maybe, and I must admit, I didn't always see it, but this is why, because we've always said as a kind of thing to cling on to. Oh, it's Brazil's number 9. Like they must see something in him. Maybe this is it, right? I mean, I don't know how many goals he scores for Brazil, but they obviously see. You know, when you've got the creative players that Brazil have playing around you, you don't need your 9 to be dropping off or
just needed to be in the
they'll do all of that for you.
I'll just got in my head, feed the goat and he will score, which is what City is
20 goals in 48 caps.
There you go. It's not bad. It's not bad.
It's what City is saying. Sean Goater, literally just feed the goat and he will score. And it's kind of like if we could adapt that for Richarlison, just feed him and he will score.
We have more.
And that's the point.
What about Udogie for that goal?
Lovely.
Has he been our player of the season?
Oh, well, it's hard.
I mean, he's played. So for example, compared to Van de Ven, he's played more than Van de Ven. So I don't know if maybe Van de Ven will win it because you see a bit more with the pace and the tackling. But there's no doubt Udogie's been the best left back in the Premier League.
For once, it's going to be a very difficult team of the season vote for Spurs fans. Normally, it's just Kane or Son.
But where the other thing is, for such a young player, where has he shown significant weakness? Remember the Arsenal game? When he got booked early on and you're thinking, oh, he's in real trouble here. Even in that game, he stepped up. When you're thinking, well, if there's any weakness, he's going to get found out defensively as well as going forward. I think he showed his
weakness on Wednesday night. No, when he played that ball, not the one at the back, he's done that a couple of times, but when he played the ball inside.
But this is splitting
No,
hairs.
I think there are occasions, and again, someone said this to me at work, and I totally agree. He's great. The goal against Brentford, when he ran through and played it to Werner.
Yeah.
Great running at speed into that channel. I think you talked about it. He's brilliant in that lane. I think when he receives the ball standing still in that position, not so great. And that's only because this is a new role for him.
Yeah.
He's coming from a left back or a left wing back to playing inverted. I think sometimes he's not 100%, and this isn't a criticism. He's young. This is a new thing for him in the last 6-7 months. Just not sure he's got the blinkers on or the... when he's receiving,
he's got the blinkers on.
He's got the blinkers on. So he's not his radar. Quite right. When he receives the ball in a standing position, sometimes back to the attacking goal.
It was only sort of last week, a few days ago, that we were talking about him playing, gifting Brentford away back into the game. He did it against West Ham as well. So look,
that's one blip in.
I get it. He's been phenomenal. He's been absolutely phenomenal. And the goal was brilliant. It's a shame actually because I don't know why. Everton sort of the first 30, 40 seconds, but once we got the ball down, actually we had a good minute and a half, 2 minutes of real composure, knocking it about, really settled into the game. Probing, didn't quite work, came back,
Control.
and then
they
boom.
were flat. They were flat, and we've talked.
Yeah.
I don't know if we talked about it last week. We've definitely talked about it
The
before.
Everton, the Goodison crowd.
Don't get them going. Someone committed a foul, and you're going to commit fouls. Someone committed a foul that really riled them, and for the next 15 minutes, all we did was concede set pieces and corners, and that is exactly what they wanted. And like Brentford, and Man City, they found a weakness in Vicario.
I don't know. It's a weakness.
I
don't think it's a weakness in Vicario. I think it's a weakness in how we set up. I find it astonishing. I found it astonishing against City, again against Brentford, and again against Everton. I find it absolutely astonishing. We mentioned it last week that no defender is taking responsibility, or nobody on the team, it hasn't even got to be a defender, nobody on the team is taking responsibility for protecting their goalkeeper and clearing the man out. Why is that not happening? Why is Vicario having to come and take the ball with a man nudging and pushing? And I don't think there was enough contact in that for a foul. I don't think there was enough. But Vicario shouldn't be in a position. The team shouldn't allow. The first thing you do from a corner is you protect your keeper, right? And we're not doing that. So that to me is inexcusable. And I get that it comes down to zonal marking, and if somebody goes and takes the man that's stood on the keeper, then that might upset the whole thing. But you have to protect your keeper and then make sure that he has got a clear run or clear sight, to come and get the ball if he wants to. I find it astonishing.
I agree with you. I totally, and I think that was definitely the problem against City. I will just give Everton one little bit of credit in the first goal, in that Harrison wasn't actually there when the corner was taken. He steps in just after.
Right, but it's still naive.
No,
right?
It was naive, but it was. I thought as far as getting to the goal he goes, I thought it was a bit more subtle than say the way City did it. He just plonked a man. And just as the ball's being floated in, he gives him a little nudge.
Yeah, 100%.
And they put a short bloke on to do it, so it doesn't look obvious.
And they put a short bloke to do it, and he still managed to get a fingertip to it. I think he's been let down by, it was Johnson at the back post who let Tarkowski run off him. He goes with him and he stops, and then Tarkowski's there at the back post. Yeah. And that's ultimately where...
Johnson doing nothing, you say?
Defensively.
No, so I don't think it's weak. I don't think it's a weakness in a weakness. I don't think it's a weakness in Vicario. I don't think it's a weakness in Vicario. I think it is a fundamental error on how the team is setting up, not protecting him.
I don't think.
I think it needs addressing, especially because we literally said it last week. We said the only thing Everton are going to do is set pieces, and I don't think they created a chance from open play. I genuinely don't think they created a chance from open play.
Chamiti, the sub, missed one, which I actually think would have been offside.
It was offside. They did not create a chance from open play. They only looked like they could score from set pieces. So what do? Gave them as many as we possibly could. But I think a lot of...
But we were 2-1 up.
So?
Well, and we had a chance to,
we had a couple of chances.
Yeah, but I'm saying we had a chance at 2-1 up. You're thinking, well, we should be home and hosed, right?
No, we're not. You're not home and hosed at 2-1. Don't
we should see it out.
You're never home and hosed 2-1 away from home, especially against a team fighting like that.
You should see it out. And when you see the sequence of play that led to the equaliser, it was so bad. We had a number of opportunities to clear our lines. We tried to play out. They were pushing high up. We got caught. And then Kulusevski... Sometimes you'll say, okay, that's a good foul to make rather than the guy running towards goal. But you've got to have a bit of game awareness, right? This was Idrissa Gueye who had nicked the ball off him. Not known for his creativity and facing a wall of Spurs players. Let the guy have the ball. I guarantee you nothing happens.
Yeah.
Nothing happens, right? Let the guy have the ball. But he panics and he brings him down. If it had been James Maddison playing for Everton who'd nicked the ball off him... De Bruyne.
Bring him down quick.
Bring him down. Get it. 100%. Bring him down and we'll have to do our bit. But the one thing Everton want is set pieces. And you've got to make, and I get it happens in the heat of the moment. People say you've got to make that decision. Sorry, these are professional footballers. They should know what's going about. They should know our weakness against Everton is set pieces. Their strength is set pieces. What we don't want to give them is set pieces. Is Idrissa Gueye a creative footballer? No. Is there a wall of 5 Spurs players in front of him?
Say that,
yes.
Michael Keane smacked one in from 30 yards against us.
Yeah, fine. But you've got to hold your hands up. You've got to hold your hands up and say, "Is what it is." It's an absolute freak. As soon as they got that free kick, who here went? Yeah. We all did, right? We all knew what was coming.
Was your phone working at that point?
Yeah.
We all knew what was coming, and I thought it was poor from Kulusevski. And
are we worried about not closing games out? Brent, okay, let's go through it. United.
What upsets me about Saturday was it was 2 goals. Did you not? It was the guy running at the back post. Somebody's let him go. You can fix that.
We need to be better defensively, and I think we need to close games out better. United, McTominay Lee scores. Unmarked and.
But again, this is something that we raised last week. I said I don't want to see, it's nothing against Dragushin at all. Nothing against him. None of us have seen enough of him to possibly make an informed opinion on whether he's going to be great or not. But what we have said, and what we said last week, is bring them 3 on at the back. It completely disrupts the style of the play. We didn't really have an out. We talk about the build-up to the goal. Half that happened because we didn't have enough players beyond the ball or in line with the ball. They were all behind the ball because once he came on, we were in a retreat mode. The goal didn't come because of the disorganisation, but it came because we didn't have the out.
But we're letting... sorry, I want to do it. United, McTominay nearly scores. Yeah. Burnley missed 2 chances at the end.
Yes, Brentford.
Bournemouth nearly made it 3-2 with an offside goal. They were hammering us last 20 minutes. Brentford, that Baptiste. Everton, Chimiti on or offside, who knows? And then they do score.
I think you're gonna get it. You're gonna get that because, as we said last week, you're not going to score 3 necessarily every game, and that's ultimately.
But we're letting in 2 every game.
Yeah, well, we are. That's the problem, and unless you're going to have that, and I think part of Ange, what you get with Ange is you get this fantastic free-flowing attacking football, but it is a bit harem-scarum. We've conceded chances all season, and that's just part and parcel of what happens. I think when you're. Ange is running the team.
I know we're very conscious of time, so we've got another pod in straight after us.
In the Great Launchpod Studios.
We're
okay for now.
But I will say I thought the substitutions from Ange were poor.
Okay, well, I was going to ask this. We all love Ange. This is not a criticism of Ange. This is an observation. After 7 months, or however long he's been here, does he need to learn a little bit? Or is it a squad problem?
Did we not like?
Well, I didn't bring in on Hill and Skip. I said it on Twitter. It's like bringing on the kid at the end because their parents have paid their money. What they're going to offer you, but do we need to learn? Does he need to learn and quickly? And I know it's a personnel thing. If we have better subs, we may see the game out. But it's a pattern that's emerging. I think we're letting teams late into the game, and it's a worry.
Why do managers? It's not just he wouldn't be the first manager to bring on a couple of guys like that.
Why take off Maddison for 6 minutes?
Well, why
when he's someone who can win you free kicks and get the ball up the pitch?
I don't think that's obviously a thing that football managers and teams do. Why do they do it? That's a wider question. He's not the only person to ever do that. No, there must be a reason.
I think
is it to give them
thinking it kills the game by making subs?
Does it take some time out? I don't know. It's not. It wouldn't be the first. I mean, I agree, but it's you've seen it before everywhere, so it's obviously a thing that us mere mortals don't understand.
I think for the most part, I've got a huge amount of confidence in Ange with his in-game decisions. I think he mostly gets tactical substitutions right at half-time, both against Brentford and Everton. I was confident we'd come out and play better in the second half. And against Everton, I think we did. We controlled the game much better up until the last 15, 20 minutes or so. So I'm going to be careful, but I did not like the substitutions. And the irony of the substitutions was that, what is Højbjerg for us? A closer.
Here we go.
A closer.
Yeah.
If you're going to have him, that's why I was on the pitch.
Perfect
right?
last 15 minutes.
He was the guy. If you're going to suffer Højbjerg, right, then it should be the last 15 minutes closing out a game. So why has he gone against exactly what Højbjerg is there to do? And by the way, I'll say this very quickly about Højbjerg. He didn't have himself a particularly bad game. He did nothing exceptional, nothing too bad, a couple of weird passes that just went out. So my issue with Højbjerg is the whole team suffers because of the way that he plays, and we cannot play the flowing liquid football that we want with him in the six.
For sure.
So he himself did not have a bad game. Please, he didn't. He actually did okay. But we are a poorer side with Højbjerg in there. And then to take him off when you needed him there with the physicality and exactly what he does.
Did he come off with Skip?
Yeah, it was a bizarre decision.
No, he came off for Dragushin. I think that he's taken Højbjerg off there because I think Højbjerg, there were potentially another 10 minutes of the game, and I think he probably thinks that maybe feels the legs. If you bring him on, then it's different. Why do you think, therefore, that he starts Højbjerg when he's got Skip and
couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you one thing.
There's obviously a good reason.
Couldn't tell you one thing about what that geezer is doing on the pitch for us outside of the last 10 minutes when we're maybe leading by a goal. That is the only scenario under which I would ever like to see Højbjerg on the pitch again. And even then, I wouldn't like to see him on the pitch.
I'm sure there was.
And it's not about Højbjerg. He's a very good player. He'd be fantastic for Everton.
But he obviously felt that, for one reason or another, Højbjerg was because Ange doesn't want to change the way he plays. We play the same way every game. So he obviously felt that Højbjerg's got enough about him to be able to do.
I'm
what he wants
confused
in
by
that
this,
position.
Jake. This way we played, because I didn't see us playing any Angeball from
The
in
first
second
3
half.
minutes, as soon as we scored the first
Yeah,
goal.
and
As soon as we scored the first goal. And at that point, I thought to myself, well,
No, the second goal was very Ange, wasn't it?
It was a nice goal.
We play nice
but
football.
hang on, but think about it. The second goal, an Ange goal is the first goal. Where we get in behind,
Yeah.
we create the fullbacks, we create the overloads, and we get the fullback in, cut back, bang. We've seen that goal a number of times, and that's becoming very typical Ange.
Yeah.
It was very typical Arsenal under Arsene Wenger. It's very typical City. They get tap-ins at the far post. Raheem Sterling scored about 15
second goal was a
open goals.
counter-attack.
Yeah, but the second goal, we didn't get in behind them. It was a great shot. We didn't open them up. We didn't create it. It was a
lovely
great
football.
shot.
I
It was
think that's the
lovely
point
football.
Jake's making.
Yeah, lovely
it was,
football.
it was good
On
football.
the break.
It wasn't a clear-cut chance that we created. It's not like we ripped them apart. The only time in the
No,
whole
you
game
can't
we
do
did
that all the time.
No, but you'd expect us to do it against a team like Everton 3 or 4 times in a game.
But we hit them on the break.
We've got another pod
That's
that's
like
waiting to get in.
proper Ange ball.
Right.
Just before we go, I've got one thing to say to you about. Did you see in the goal? Because we were joking about this last week. When Maddison broke, he had Johnson to his right and he had Werner to his left. And I'm thinking the obvious ball's out there because we were talking about you play passes to the so you don't pass
And he
to the
went to
guy who
Werner.
you rate. And he went straight to Werner, even though Werner was in less space and the pass was harder. I just thought
I'd pass to Werner over Johnson. Just quickly then, another pod coming in the great Launchpod Studios here in Mill Hill.
Buy the merch.
By the merch. Well, that's an Echo of Glory merch. But we have got 3 home games coming up in a row. Going to have to win them all
9
because
points.
United have started to win and Villa have won again. It's going to be a rough old ride. Starting on Saturday with Brighton, we've not had too much. We're not going to have any time to talk about it. Brighton will come and they will play, which might help us. But they can play and they're also very.
They just
dangerous.
stuffed us. So
They just stuffed us. We nearly got back in it, but too little, too late. They will take good set pieces. Matoma will be back from Asian Cup. We don't have that luxury with Sonny unless he loses tomorrow against Jordan. Who knows? A prediction, please, for Brighton at home
4-3,
to Tottenham Hotspur.
of course.
don't know. If we play with intensity and we go at them and we dominate the ball, we'll beat them. But I'm not taking a huge amount of confidence from what I've seen against Brentford and Everton. 2-2.
Yeah, I'm going to sit on the fence. I'm not going to sit on the fence at all. I'm going to not predict because I think it could be anything.
No, you have to.
It's my show.
No.
It's our show.
Yeah. What's the score going to be?
It's our show. You said 2-2. You said 4-3.
Yeah.
3-2 to someone.
Great.
Great.
Brighton.
Plus 5 goals, is it?
Yeah. Okay. Got another pod coming in the great Launchpod Studios. We got to go. Look out this week for an interview we recorded earlier with a player, James Holland, who used to play played for Ange Postecoglou for Australia. Really, really great interview. We've talked to journos, we've talked to fans who know Ange and love Ange. We finally got hold of someone who played under Ange.
If you think you love Ange, you need to listen to this guy.
Yeah,
talk.
absolutely. He absolutely loves Ange like we do. Gentlemen, thank you very much. We will see you next week.
Next week.
Cheers.
And up the Spurs.